Hi, this is Mike. I'm back again. Not gonna be a very long video this time around, mostly because I forgot to start a video when I started redoing a Hillbilly Jim figure. Hillbilly Jim, not my favorite figure or really wrestler of the time period. As a wrestler, I thought he was pretty boring, bland, and was just kind of a jobber. And then he made the WWE Hall of Fame last year, 2 years ago, and gave a really long speech. So don't really care for Hillbilly Jim, nor do I really care for his figure from the LJN line because it was just a big, blocky, blobby figure and wasn't well done. Pretty basic paint scheme. And so I decided that I would redo it, just kind of out of the blue. Pop downstairs, start working on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do a video on it. So he's already started, and I'm going to finish him. Mostly I just want to show you what kind of paint I use on him in case you want to do your own Hillbilly Jim figure. So here's Hillbilly Jim on what I've done so far. Behind him I have the worst Hillbilly Jim I've ever seen. This is Hillbilly who's been through a ringer, like a dog chewed his eyeball out and got him in the crotch, and he's just kind of gross overall. I'm not going to redo that Hillbilly Jim, so I decided that I would get another one, and this one came in pretty good shape, but I just couldn't match the blues up very well, although when you look at the two it doesn't look too bad. And I'm going to put a second coat on that blue, and then we'll gloss it up with the Mod Podge, so that'll make it pretty good. I did use a little bit different brown on him. You can see it almost looks black, excuse me, as it is on his hair. So I made it a little more brown because I think that's more of his natural color. And let's see, what have we done, anything else? No, I've not done his shoes yet, so I'll show you the black, and I'll show you different colors for him as well. So one more blue paint on him, and then we'll do some of the red. I'll probably redo the red, and I'll show you why. This is from just in general paint. You can see a little bit of staining on the figure, and as I've said before in other videos, I don't think LJN did a great job of painting him. He's falling over, staining on something. There we go. No, I didn't want to stand up at all. I think they got sloppy at times, so there he goes. Just set him up over here. So anyways, I'll just redo the red, touch him up a little bit, and then we'll Mod Podge him as well. So the colors that I'm using for his hair, I used a burnt umber. It doesn't look great when you put it on. It looks almost like it has a reddish hue to it. When it does dry, it looks pretty good as a brown. Like most of the figures, the bright blue is what I used for his blue as well as other figures. And then just the basic black, not jet black, I think it's a little too dark. And then I believe the crimson red for Apple Barrel will match up pretty well. So I'll go ahead and paint him up a little more, and I'll show you what he looks like before we Mod Podge him. Okay, so here's Hillbilly Jim. I went back and I redid his blue, went over that one more time. I did a couple coats on the red, and here is why I'm not a big fan of these reds on these wrestlers, because red just doesn't seem to want to absorb very well. So I did like 3 different coats on this overall. I did his shoes, which had, let me think, I think I just did 2 coats on those. So again, your colors were the basic black. I did a crimson red, which I had for the big bottle, and then the bright blue, and those were the only 3 paints other than for his hair. And I think I told you that I did the burnt umber. So 4 basic colors for Hillbilly Jim. Luckily I didn't have to do too much on his face, just his big beard. So I'm gonna let him dry for a couple hours. I will come down and Mod Podge him like I had the other figures, and hopefully what that will do is that will give me more of the gloss coat that you see, because he looks kind of a flat color. I think it looks pretty good right here. And again, I only Mod Podge what I've painted. I do not Mod Podge his skin, because that already has a nice little gloss to it. So out of the way, junky Hillbilly Jim. Give me another hour or so, and we'll do the Mod Podge, and I'll show you that. Okay, so here's good old Hillbilly Jim. I'm going to take my Mod Podge that I have used on all my figures, and I am going to put a coat of Mod Podge on him, just 1 coat. And if you haven't, oh boy, it's getting tough to open that. You take a little bit of Mod Podge, because I'm lazy and don't want to dirty anything else. I put it on the lid. I take my little different brush that I have. This one's a little bit crusty. I must not have cleaned it from the last time that I used it. So let me see if I've got a different one. There we go. All right, always clean your brushes, kids. I clearly lapsed on that one. Okay, so I'm not gonna, put you through the whole thing, but any Mod Podge or any area that I've painted already on Jim, that's what I'm gonna Mod Podge. If you haven't seen the videos before, it's just a thin coat. Don't let it glob anywhere, because that's exactly how it's gonna dry. So he seemed to have a little bit of a crevice in there on his overalls, and so just thin it out. Get a nice thin layer, and again I will put it over everything that I have done on him, including his face. If it doesn't have a again, if it doesn't have paint on it, I'm not going to do it. I didn't get anything up here. I won't get in his eyes. That's fine. It's already got a gloss on it, so I won't worry about it. So Mod Podge everything from head to toe. I'm going to do that, and then I will show you what the final figure looks like in the next cut. Okay, so now that I've given Hillbilly Jim some time to dry his Mod Podge off, I want to show you what the final product is. I've got a side-by-side of the terrible old rusty, crusty looking Jim. Pretty gross, feels gross. And then I've got what I redid, the Mod Podge version with the Walmart paint. And I want to show you. Looking pretty good. There's a little bit of discoloration there, and that was stained or whatever on the red, and I put like 3 coats on and I couldn't get it well enough, but you know what, it doesn't matter because these things aren't going to be perfect anyways. Feels good to the touch. It looks like there was just a little thing here, sorry, and that's actually just a piece of plastic that was hanging off, so good enough. So there's Hillbilly Jim. I showed you the paint that I used, the Mod Podge, so this is not a difficult one. This is pretty easy. So now that Jim is finished, he's finally going to go over to my collection of we'll call them the living collection, and they all fall down just like that. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is not very well put together in the feet. There we go. He's always got a lane. So there's Hillbilly. He's joining the other, how many did I count here? Let's see, I got 35 total. 35 total that I have redone. This is the living set. And then if you've seen the videos that I've had before, I've showed you that this is my in memoriam battle royal with my redone ring, which is another video. And there's some other figures. So whenever I get some other figures, I know I have a Vince McMahon coming soon, and I will work on those. And until next time, thanks for joining me.